How to make my cream egg fondants. They're gooey, delicious, and I just can't cope. Cream egg fondants are something that sounds so indulgent, and honestly they are, but they are much simpler to make than you think. Like, imagine a gooey volcano of cream egg loveliness, and you're gonna wanna make them, trust me. One of the things I use for these is pudding molds. So they're just little tiny pudding molds. You can buy them anywhere. I'll put the link for these in the description, but these are the perfect things to make these, and they're so simple to prep. It might sound a little bit weird, but you just need some melted butter and some cocoa powder to be able to get them ready. All I've got is a pastry brush and a little bit of melted butter, and all I do is lightly brush it up the sides of my pudding molds. Just making sure you brush from the bottom to the top, because that will help guide the pudding out of it. Once you've brushed all the butter onto the insides, you want to grab a little bit of cocoa powder. I use cocoa powder for this because it's a chocolate pudding. For example, if you're making a vanilla one instead, you'd use flour just because of the colour difference. But all I do is I pour my cocoa powder into one of the moulds, and then I just lightly turn it so that the cocoa powder starts to cover the inside. There's excess, so I sort of let it gently tip into the next mould I'm going to be covering, and then you sort of just use it as it goes. Now your pudding moulds are coated in the cocoa powder and butter, they're ready to go. So now we have to make the fondant mix. It's so important to use dark chocolate at this point. The cocoa content is what's going to create a lovely mix. And if you use milk chocolate, it just might not bake in the same way, but don't worry, it doesn't taste bitter. It complements the cream egg perfectly. Once that's all melted, you just want to leave it to cool for about 10 minutes, just so it doesn't deflate the next part of the recipe. Now we're going to make the next part of the mixture. You're going to need some eggs, some egg yolks, and some light brown sugar. I use medium eggs, so I have 2 full eggs, and to make a nice rich mixture, 2 egg yolks. Then I love the caramel flavour you get from light brown sugar. Once your eggs and sugar are in the bowl, you want to whisk it till it's lovely and moussey. This does take 3 to 4 minutes on a high speed, but trust me, it's worth it. There you have a lovely mousse mixture. And now pour in the chocolate mix. And then you can stir the chocolate mixture in. And then add your plain flour and stir it in. Lovely chocolatey. Once your mixture's ready and you have some lovely frozen cream eggs, definitely make sure they're frozen because it's worth it for that gooey texture. You can fill your molds. I use just the cupcake batter, scooper, cookie scoop, whatever you want to call it, ice cream scoop, and just portion it between, maybe halfway, add your cream egg and add a little bit more mixture on top. Of course, I'm using cream eggs here, but you can use any other Easter chocolate you want, such as the caramel eggs, the peanut butter eggs, anything you fancy. But once the foil is gone, I just plop them into the fondant and carry on with the rest. And then they're ready to bake in your preheated oven. I bake at 180 in my fan oven for about 11 to 12 minutes. And then once they're out, only leave them to cool for 10 for the perfect gooey texture. Once they're baked, leave them to cool for about 10 minutes, and then you can turn them out and have the gooeyest, most perfect creme egg fondant ever. Now they've been cooling for about 10 minutes, they should be easy to turn out. Because the butter and cocoa powder you put on there, they shouldn't stick, but you never know. Definitely, hopefully not. Ta-da! Now that they're all ready to eat, you can enjoy the most gorgeous, gooey, filling, chocolatey heaven ever. And I can't wait for you to see the inside.